The incumbent in Cranston joins us tonight.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Truly, it was the premier local race during the last primary election just a couple of weeks ago. Not a lot going on in the state, and obviously there's a major focus on the national elections coming up. There are some statewide elections that are perfunctory at this point, but the city of Cranston, which I don't know. The mayor will tell us whether it's the number 2 or 3 population city in Rhode Island. It's a constant debate. Do you add the ACI? Do you subtract the ACI? But there's no doubt the city of Cranston is in the heart and soul of the state of Rhode Island, and what happens there politically draws the attention, I think, of many. So that is our agenda for this evening. Last week we had the Democratic challenger in the general election here, Mr. Ferry. He had some things to say. We'll remind the mayor of some of those things and get his reaction. In the meantime, let's go backwards first to the primary evening and see about the celebration when Ken Hopkins won the primary.
Cranston Mayor Ken Hopkins greeting excited supporters after winning the city's hard-fought Republican primary. First elected in 2020, Hopkins says he'll focus on bettering education, supporting public safety, and keeping the city secure if elected to a second term in November.
It's a great night for Cranston. We're going to move forward and continue to do what we've been doing for the last 4 years.
Hopkins also addressed digs and accusations made by his primary opponent, Barbara Ann Fenton Fung. He said the results showed, quote, "You can be a good guy and still win."
People know who I am. I don't cheat, I don't lie, I don't steal. I'm a good person first. Mayor is what my job is. I'm a good person first.
Hopkins said in his victory speech he hopes to move on and unite the city's Republican Party ahead of the general election. Have you spoken to your opponent tonight?
They called and I called them back. We've missed each other. They did reach out to me.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, it was a harder fought. If you had put the primary on the schedule and the map, I don't know, a year ago, I'm guessing you would not have thought that you would had the tension convention that you had. The outcome was what is defined in politics as a landslide. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it was contentious.
Absolutely.
Was it not?
Yeah, it was. It was in the mud. There's a lot of slinging going on. My goal was to stay above it, to be mayoral.
You almost made it.
Almost. But I like the poetic justice is what we used. And, you know, when you get accused of multiple things, whether it's you, your family, your name, to try to discredit, to win a political race, it's just, it was offensive, and it's not my style.
Well, it was my analysis, you know, daily on the radio, and we touched base on this, that in general, you aside, in general, when an incumbent's doing an admirable or a competent job at least, and there's a challenge to the incumbent, you got to pick the turkey carcass. You know, you gotta. It's like what you do at midnight on Thanksgiving night. You see if you can go find some white meat there and just make yourself a sandwich. And I think that's what Barbara Ann Fenton Fung was doing in large part. But the drama that surrounded it was that reportedly you and she and her husband, Alan Fung, the former 2-time mayor and longtime mayor and 2-time gubernatorial candidate. Were like a family, if not a political family, and all of a sudden it became a surprising drama when they turned on you. Mm-hmm. I've asked you like 3 or 4 times on the air, what happened here, and you've given diplomatic answers. So
yeah,
I want the truth.
Well, now you look like my next opponent slamming the desk.
Can I handle the truth? I don't know.
You know what? People have squabbles, people have disputes, especially when it comes to politics. Friendship aside, there were certain types of behavior, whether it was the former mayor or his wife that attacked me.
No, I'm talking about what her decision to run against you was provocative in the sense that she was a state representative who could have sat tight. Seems to me she upset the former Speaker of the House in what was a dramatic victory. Unless I was missing something, she could have sat tight and you could have run your term. And I mean, it's not like she's, you know, a senior citizen. She could have certainly had bided her time. So I think a lot of people are just kind of confused as to what happened there.
Yeah, it's too bad that it went that way. I didn't want it to go that way, but there were certain circumstances that happened when they attacked. And unfortunately, I think they, looking back at it, they probably planned this much earlier than when they announced. I look back at it, and there are certain signs out there that showed me that they just wanted me for 4 years as a stopgap.
Gotcha.
That was a personal feeling.
Did you ever suggest to them that would be okay?
No, never.
No.
Never. I actually had a luncheon with the rep, and we basically agreed that I was going to run again, and she decided, okay. And then all of a sudden, she's going to run. I thought that was their game plan all along.
Maybe their interpretation, whatever, you've enjoyed the job.
Absolutely. Yeah. There are times that it's extremely rewarding. There are other times it's a bumpy road, but that comes with the territory. And I think, you know, in all the years that I coached at the college level, you have to maintain a certain decorum and a levelness. And I think that's part of governing at the local level. You know, sometimes you have to make tough decisions that rattle people. Other times you have to be a calming influence when the water gets rough. And I think I've done that.
All right. Well, we'll talk about some of the issues that face the city of Cranston. Let's get through this car thing. So there's this lawsuit. Eric, throw that headline up, if you will. There's a lawsuit that a gentleman filed a week before the primary. The timing, I think, in some ways speaks for itself. They would suggest that the court process lent them to this type of schedule to file this lawsuit. But he alleges this guy who you ended up getting this car from, this sports car that, I don't know, you refurbished it. Looks pretty hot to me. You get it, but you can't seem to be able to get it on the road formally because there's no, that you haven't figured out yet. In my last radio conversation with you, you're still telling me, I can't figure out yet whether he's got the title, whatever. But it seemed to be a friendly hands, arm's length transaction to just grab the keys and go and take the car, fix it up, and you guys agreed to something later and hasn't borne fruit. Now he has sued you and also alleged that, more or less my words, that you've kind of harassed him from an administrative point of view.
Well,
your commentary on the lawsuit is?
That it's in the courts, that my attorneys will be handling it, that it was definitely a political hit in cooperation with the primary. It was announced the night of my birthday, which was the night I turned 70 on August 29th.
Happy birthday to you.
And thank you, Dan. But, I mean, I had a fundraiser birthday party that night, and that's when it was announced. And every single time that I tried to do something of importance, whether it was a meeting or a fundraiser, my opponent would blast something to try to take away some of the limelight from me.
No, she's running against you,
yeah,
Mayor.
that was
again, she's picking the turkey carcass. She was doing what she could do. Now, in this last week, the Cranston City Council has approved a resolution sending to the Finance Committee, kind of a charge to investigate on its own basis, which I'm guessing is a move to see how much taxpayer dough they want to spend to hire somebody to investigate this car caper. I talked to Robert Ferry last week about this. He's the Democratic challenger in the general election and former Republican and now two-term city councilor. This is what he said last week about it.
The guy tossed him the keys for whatever reason. I don't know what agreement they made. I don't know what handshake they made. I have no idea. I don't think anybody does. But he took the car and he put the city plate on it, and he drove it uninsured and unregistered at least 2 or 3 times that we know of. I just think that in itself is not something you should do if you're the mayor of a city. You're taking a car without a title, not registering it, and you're driving it.
he voted for this resolution. You know how much I've talked to this audience at length about how much I hate party politics and municipal governance. I just think it's such a caricature of itself. So 6 Democrats voted to pursue this investigation. 2 Republicans voted no. 1 wasn't there. Your take on the investigation is?
Dan, it's another political hit. That's exactly what they're doing. If they don't have anything else to go against, I mean, the city's in great shape. The finances are in great shape. They don't have anything else to attack me with, so they're going to try to extend this lawsuit, and that's going to be handled by the courts. And I'll be glad.
Well, the lawsuit will have its own track, and if they decide to do a private investigation, it'll be their own track. How in heaven's name they think they can up and down an investigation in time for the general election and to have impact on it is beyond me.
Dan, I think it's a mistake by the council president. I think she's been already alerted to the fact that multiple, let's say 2 or 3 lawyers have told her, don't do this. Don't do this.
Who told her that?
Attorneys have told her. She's been notified.
You're not going to tell me who the attorneys are?
No, there's no need to get into the weeds.
You're telling so you're asserting that, I mean, listen, local politics is very intimate, so everybody talks to everybody, right? So I get that. You have conceded somewhat casually and nonchalantly and kind of shoulder-shruggedly when I assert to you that it was sloppy to even move the car from one place to another when you're the mayor on the road, to put a plate that didn't. Would you concede at least? I don't. The word corruption gets thrown around, and I scoff at that. I don't see it as a corruption. I see it as, hey, whatever. It's a short ride. Blah blah blah. I'm the mayor. Blah blah blah. That's what people are. Some people would be perceiving like a little bit of executive privilege overextended. Last thought on it.
I took the car from the lot. I brought it to my house. I never, and I repeat,
you didn't carry it on your back. You
I
drove
never.
You didn't tow it. You drove it.
I drove it a mile.
Right.
To my house, and then I drove it from my house to the auto body, and then from the auto body to the upholsterer, and then back to my house. I did use it one day, and that was for one little ride, because I just wanted to see what it was like. But the bottom line is, I never, ever, ever used the city plate to take that car out on the road. Never. And the other thing is, from the day I took that car...
So there was no plate on the car?
There was a plate, but it was a personal plate of my own. It was not the city plate.
Listen, I don't think it's something that residents all across Rhode Island haven't done on often occasion. It's just that when you're the mayor, sometimes you got to be careful. Again, I'm not going to prosecute the case, and we'll see how the whole thing goes. I think, by and large, what you've represented is true, that the city is run pretty competently, and you're generally recognized as a guy of repute. So we'll leave it there and let you fend through the politics. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the issues, if that's okay with everybody. Stay with us.
He finally admitted that when he became the mayor, he inherited a $7 or $8 million structural deficit. Okay, he admitted it. And then he was asked, like, why didn't you tell anybody? So he kept it a secret for like 2 years. So why would you keep something like that a secret for 2 years when the constituents of Cranston...
What's the answer?
The answer is he was trying to not throw Alan Fung under the bus, because Alan Fung and Barbara Ann Fenton Fung basically picked him to be the mayor. They supported him and they endorsed him.
All right, more of an issues attack, if nothing else, got nothing to do with cars and stuff. Mr. Ferry suggests very plainly that I don't think you fudged the numbers, but you were tardy in describing the numbers to the public at the beginning of your mayoralty.
Well, when the new coach takes over the team, you do the job. You take care of the team. The fact that it was delayed to a certain point, let me point this out to you. The audit committee, it was listed in that report. I was being transparent. I wasn't hiding anything. It was right there in the report. Mr. Ferry was the chair of the audit committee. So either he didn't do his job or he didn't understand what he was doing. And that's a concern that I have going into this race. He, at times, doesn't understand governmental process, governmental procedure. I don't think he has the temperament to handle those types of distractions.
Because?
He gets angry at times. he gets angry. When he has to make a decision, he doesn't like it, he doesn't fit in with people, he gets angry.
We actually noted his affability here. We actually thought that he was pretty affable. Again, I'm at a disadvantage. I'm not in Cranston every day. So, but you're making that assertion. That's an interesting thing. Do you guys have debates scheduled?
Yes, we do. Yeah, there'll be 4 or 5 of them.
So we'll see if there's an anger issue there. They generally come out in debates. Ask the former president about all of that. But no, isn't that nice? You know, Dan, you'd think you would be smart enough to put your phone on silent. But it's almost live TV. The issue of finances, though, in general, you've had a pretty good command of the situation. Define for me what you would give the financial grade of the city right now, just in terms of its overall health.
Yeah, well, our bond rating is A++. Can't get much better than that. We've reduced the budget by over $7 million in the last 2 years. I had a surplus of $4 million this past year, and I expect another surplus to come out this year. I've eliminated 24 positions in local government. We've streamlined it. We do more with less. In the product, the proof's in the pudding. People like what we're doing in the city. Our infrastructure is, we spend about $4 million a year on streets and sidewalks. We've cleaned up local areas that were part of a Main Street program that I developed when I first took over. You know, Rolfe Street, Patuxent Village, Oaklawn Avenue. Now we're working in Knightsville.
Yeah, there's some cool spots in Cranston, no doubt. The OPEB liabilities, where are you there? I mean, nobody's healthy there.
Yeah.
Nobody.
We're in great shape. We're in great shape financially. If there is one thing,
your pension and benefit liabilities aren't a concern for you?
We do have some concerns, but we've balanced our budget. I didn't use any ARPA funds this year. I did in the past, but I didn't use any this year. I didn't have a tax increase this year.
That's what Mr. Ferry was suggesting as well, that you plug some holes. We're talking about COVID money, folks. Did you use COVID money for operating expenses?
In the past I did, but not this past year. Because
so the budget's whole.
Yeah, the budget right now is in perfect shape, and I continue to put more money into the rainy day fund. We brought that from $14 million up to $19 million, while we reduced jobs in the city, and we continue to streamline and do more with less. And as a result, our services are better than ever.
Budlong Pool was a big to-do. What's the status on that?
It's in the construction phase right now. We did have some litigation.
So it's going to be smaller, more intimate.
Yeah, Dan, you know what? There was a political move to try to say we want a bigger pool. When I did the statistics, and being a teacher, I did my homework, 15 feet is the amount of space you need for one swimmer. The average amount of people that were swimming in that pool at the max was about 240 people a day. The new pool that I've already started to build will handle over 500 people a day. So it's twice the size. So maybe the message got lost. It's twice.
So the pool's going to be bigger?
No, it's going to be bigger based on the amount of people that use it. If 240 people were the average, and we're building a pool that you can put 500 people in.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The pool was empty.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
It's empty. And then we're going to add a splash pad to it, which will allow for 100 more. So we can accommodate.
And you want a bigger, more year-round facility around it, correct?
Well, what I want to do is bring back a family orientation. I want a picnic area where they can barbecue. I want a place where younger kids, tots, can go through splash pads. And we've experienced that already. We have one splash pad in the city that was an experiment. We average almost 100 kids a day at that splash pad. So we've got one of those. We want to install a new one, and we're going to. One of the things that really held us back was the building itself. It wasn't ADA compliant.
Yeah. So
that needed to be done, and we wanted to modernize it. There was some historical aspects to that needed to be addressed. So we're at that stage now where the asbestos is being removed.
All right. See, it's in progress.
It'll be open for this year.
You know, anytime you make a decision on capital improvements, people say, "Oh, I want it this way, I want it that way." So it's part of the course. When we come back, we'll just have the mayor assert why he ought to be the mayor again and what his most important priority in the state is. Okay, I only got a couple of minutes here. Priorities.
Schools, infrastructure.
Schools is a budget funding thing. This is not your issue. Our state laws don't give a lot of authority to mayors when it comes to matters of the schools.
Well,
That's a problem,
you have to work at it. First thing we did was a $147 million bond that we worked with, that we got on the ballot, and the people of Cranston approved it. So we've already built Garden City, which is state-of-the-art 21st century school. We're redoing Eden Park, same way. Gladstone just started construction. So the city is going to have some of the best schools in the country, 21st education type schools. Being an educator, that was my focus. I want to focus on safety, city safety. I've got the best police and fire department in the country. My Colonel Winquist is the best. I work daily with them to make sure that we are one of the safest cities in America.
No more ATVs running around too much.
Not at all.
You guys cleaned that thing out.
Oh, that was
a hard line.
It was.
And I think it probably instructed Providence.
I did. I met with Brett and we talked and said, listen, if we want to clean things up, let's get rid of the graffiti, let's get rid of the ATVs, let's put in the flock cameras, and our crime rate has dropped dramatically in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I don't know about that flock camera thing. It's got its pluses and minuses, but I get it. You just mentioned 70th birthday, you play a little golf, you're in good health. Why would you want this aggravation?
Well, I want to finish what I've started. I mean,
how would you know you finished? A lot of elected officials say, I want to finish what I started. What will be the note? I got 10 seconds on
Well, I've got Knightsville right now under construction. We've finished phase 2s, projects that I'm working on. We're going to build a new laborers academy. There are things that I want to complete. Gladstone Schools just started. So it's going to take me another 3 or 4 years to leave the city in the shape that I want it to be in.
Good luck.
Thanks, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Final word and we can pass this. Painless. Very good.
That was good.
All right, listen, that general election in Cranston's an important one. There will be some impetus from Democrats simply because of the national election dynamic, but I think the cards are on the table in Cranston pretty clearly. Pay attention to the details. That's what's important. More on that and the national scene when we come back next week, and of course on the radio, weekdays at 3 on WPRI.